Hey everybody, how's it going? Puntastic77 here, coming to you with some Team Fortress 2. I hope you're doing well. Long time no talk. And now that the Halloween update is over here, we're back to playing some normal game mode. So I'm playing a little bit of Upward as the engineer with the Southern Hospitality, the Rescue Ranger, and the Wrangler. And I really have been trying to use the Wrangler a lot more actively. So for example, putting it up to create that little bubble shield to give the sentry a little bit more time to survive, but I have a really hard time switching back to it and then actually manually using it. I'd rather just let the sentry do its own thing here. So just a little bit about this gameplay here before we get into the topic for today. It's just a really good example of how, as an engineer, you really need your team support to be able to be successful. You can see when I set up on this ridge here, I have very good team support helping to keep the sentry alive, to kill the enemies, to make sure they don't get close, because there's so many weak points from this area that the sentry could get taken down. And because I had people spy checking, because I had snipers taking out the other snipers, it was able to stay up for a good amount of time. And for any of you who have seen a few of my Upward gameplays as engineer, you know that I really love this spot on the third point here. So yeah, just enjoy it, and we'll get to the end of it here, and you'll see what happens at the end of that. I'm not going to spoil it like I do most of the gameplays here, but let's talk about a few things here. So like I said, we are past the Halloween update, and I have a little bit of thoughts on it, kind of post-mortem after it's all said and done. So in my Halloween video from a few weeks ago, I said that I was sick of the complaining that the TF2 community was doing, and that still remains true a few weeks later. After the event kind of ended, you had a few folks saying that, you know, the community maps were bad that were made, the hats and the accessories that came out were bad, even though a lot of them were community made, and just a lot of complaining about, you know, the same kind of things, that the developers don't play their own game, that, you know, they barely put any hours in the game, how can we, you know, trust them or whatever. And I just keep coming back to the same fact over and over again. And, you know, a lot of people have different counters to it, but the fact remains that this game is old. And in the way that video games are marketed today, you know, the old, out with the old, in with the new. But for TF2, I'm very happy that they've, you know, kept updating it. And you can say the same thing is true for CSGO. But CSGO really is just CS 1.5 or 1.7. I'm not the biggest Counter-Strike person, so I don't know the differences, but just a more updated version of that with skins attached to it to help them make a little bit more money. So, you know, it's kind of along the same lines of, you know, the game is newer. Technically CSGO is newer, but it's really just a rehash of the original Counter-Strike. So for Valve to be able to keep up these games and have it be one of the top 5 played games on Steam for such a consistent time is amazing to me, and I really applaud them for that. And, you know, I know it's a little early to be talking about the Christmas update, but, you know, I'm very excited to see what they have in mind for Christmas. And I just want to make an aside here about the Rescue Ranger. Just being able to master that is such a vital skill to have when playing Team Fortress 2, because one shot could mean the difference between a rocket taking out your sentry or it being able to hang on by 1 health or a couple of health here. So I want you to really pay attention to that if you're watching the video. And here I'm just helping out a different engineer with his sentry. But yeah, if you're probably like, oh, it's been a few weeks since you posted a video, Pun, what happened? You know, you said that you were going to try and post whatever, and I didn't make any promises, for one. But two, I've been super busy, and I take no, you know, I take no qualms about that. I don't really have an excuse for it. I've just been busy and can't make videos, and I just do this when I can. But yeah, overall, back to Halloween and what I thought about it. Honestly, this was my first time doing contracts, because I never did any of the updates for the contracts before. Like, I think it was Man Up is when they started it, but I'm not sure. But you had to pay for the contracts to be active. You had to buy like a pass or something like that, and I never did that. So, but this is my first time playing with contracts to get the Halloween stuff, and honestly, it's really fun. Like, playing with contract stuff is just really great. But I did find like certain tricks to help me finish the contracts after they got repetitive to me. So after a while, you know, you did the first round, and then you did the advanced versions of the contracts. and then it got pretty repetitive to do them over and over. So you kind of just figure out like certain strategies to be able to get the points faster. But you know, certain things like getting the pumpkin kills was super fun, being able to do that and get 5 points for that. Just really good stuff. And the maps were entertaining, and you know, it makes me want to play Viaduct a little bit more. It makes me want to play a few of the other maps that they converted into Halloween maps here. But there was one thing I definitely did notice about the Halloween update that's really interesting, and I think it's still happening at this point. And I don't know if it's just been the last couple of days or the last couple of weeks, but when you were playing maps that were non-Halloween maps, so just standard upward, standard payload, standard anything, non-Halloween maps, a lot of the players on them were not that good. Like below what the average of bad players is. And, you know, at the time I was thinking, well, no, maybe most of them are just playing the Halloween maps, and that's why we were not able to have, like, good team composition. And it seemed like I was always on the losing end of the having good players to having really, really crappy players battle here. And, yeah, you could definitely tell that there were less than good players on it. I just associated with them playing on the Halloween game modes here, but it's still kind of carrying on. I noticed that in the last couple of days that I've been playing Team Fortress 2, it's been a lot of gibbous people or no hat wearers, which is never an indication of skill versus not skill, but it sometimes is. But what I think this could mean is that I'm playing with people who have hats, but they have the Halloween hats on, because I noticed that all of my loadouts that I was playing with the Halloween stuff were just back to default because the Halloween cosmetics were not active during after the Halloween update. Another thing I was able to do while playing on during the Halloween game mode or the game types was just trading and selling things on the community market. You know, I was not able to really do that. And that's something I really don't partake in much in the TF2 community, is like the trading and selling things on the community market aspect of the game. And I have reasons for it. And, you know, one is that the market itself is just in a really bad state right now, so it's kind of a really bad time to get into it. But a lot of people say, oh, everything's cheap right now, this is the best time to get into it, you should totally go get into trading. But it's also such a long-term effort for what I honestly think is not a big payout for me. So, like, you have to start by, like, you know, I did a little bit of research on it, and just from the beginning you have to start by scrap banking and just get a bunch of refined. Like, I have been trying to do that slowly but surely, but not so much by scrap banking. So scrap banking is when you go into servers and trade people like one weapon for 2 weapons, and it like doubles the amount of weapons you have, and then you can turn those into scrap, which turns them into refined, which turns them into whatever the highest thing is. I think refined is the highest. And you just use that refined as currency to buy like unusual hats, and then you kind of trade unusual hats for like a little bit higher value than what you got them for. And it's just kind of this like Scarface, you know, start from nothing, work your way up mentality. And for me, like, one, I don't really care for cosmetics. The only thing that I have been trying to work on is trading for kill streak weapons, like strange kill streak weapons. And honestly, I'm playing with the Southern Hospitality because it is a kill streak weapon, and it's just a really good weapon in general. But I love the fact that it keeps track of my sentry gun kills, and it tells me, you know, the streak that I'm on. But, you know, if I do get a kill with the Wrangler or the Rescue Ranger, it does not count towards my kill streak. And at this point, you know, and I've talked about the kill streak effect and what it does to like the psychology of a TF2 player, you know, that's something I really want to get back to, is have complete strange kill streak sets. And I don't really need festive versions of things. I just kind of want the stock strange kill streak version. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the Rescue Ranger, you know, and how vital it is. Just if I had landed that first shot, you know, the sentry may still be alive and would have been able to take out that person. But that's beside the point. So yeah, back to trading and how I was able to do that. So I was getting a lot of the crates, that like spider case or whatever, and they were selling for like a good amount of money. And when I say a good amount of money, I mean like 10 or 15 cents, because normal crates now sell for like 1 cent, and that's usually when I get a crate. It doesn't even matter which one it is. I know there's like a rare one, I literally just put them up on the market for like 1 cent, and I've been building my Steam wallet from that, and I'm up to like $1.75 or $1.50. But I'm thinking, like, as an adult and as someone who has like a job and money and stuff, I would rather just put like $10 in my Steam account if I were going to buy stuff. So honestly, when it gets to the point, like if around Christmas time I have some money in my bank account to spend, I'm probably just going to put $10 or $15 in it and then buy, a bunch of strange kill streak weapons just to kind of appease myself. And it honestly just holds a place in my inventory to where, like, I don't have to keep track of having a, righteous bison or something like that. If I had a strange kill streak righteous bison, that's just going to be my strange kill streak righteous bison forever. Like, I don't have to keep track of that, and I can just scrap bank those and then maybe get into trading. So it would be nice to have like a basic set of weapons to just keep and stay forever and have them as my loadout stuff, and then be able to trade other things that have different effects on them. So gameplay is coming to a close here. You can see that once the teammates stop helping you by taking out the fellas on the other side of the map where the sentry can't reach, it's over. And that's the game here. Let me know what you all thought, and thank you for watching.